In one of my pre-fight videos for Saunders versus Lemieux, I talked about the possibility that if Billy Joe Saunders looked too impressive against David Lemieux and too dominant, that it might actually decrease his chances of landing a Canelo or Golovkin fight. The question I want to ask you guys is, has that happened? Have those two fighters been scared away by Billy Joe's performance? My take on it is this, and my take is just based upon the prior history of both Canelo and Golovkin in terms of who they've fought in the past, how they've acted about particular opponents, fighting certain guys at certain times, etc. And stylistically, who I think would struggle more against Billy Joe. First of all, the word on the grapevine is that Canelo Golovkin 2 is close to being made for Cinco de Mayo 2018. I think that Golovkin, win or lose, is more likely to fight Billy Joe Saunders than Canelo is. One, I think Golovkin deals with movers better than Canelo does. I think he cuts the ring off better. I think he's more relentless. Two, he's shown a willingness to fight Billy Joe before, even though he didn't go through with the fight. I think that had to do with Canelo and Golden Boy not allowing him to go through with a Billy Joe Saunders fight. If you remember, there was some story that came out where Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya were saying if Golovkin takes on a fighter before facing Canelo next, then the deal's off. But yeah, there were rumblings, and well, Frank Warren says that a contract was signed on Billy Joe Saunders' end to face Golovkin earlier on this year. I think it was in the summertime they were looking at making a fight in Kazakhstan. Didn't happen, but to me, I think Golovkin did show a willingness to take that fight. Also, there was talk that Golovkin was a little bit, a little bit bruised and banged up from the Danny Jacobs fight, so he needed a bit of a rest before going into another training camp, and that wouldn't have allowed him to face Billy Joe. So, whatever the case may be, I do think Golovkin would be willing to face Billy Joe Saunders. Now, why do I think he's more likely than Golovkin? Is more likely to face Billy Joe than Canelo, win or lose against Canelo? One, as I mentioned, the style matchup. I think Golovkin deals with movers better than Canelo does. Two, Golovkin's always said he wants to unify. So what is there left for him to do in the middleweight division if he beats Canelo? That's the cash cow fight done. Then he wants to unify. I think he'd face Billy Joe for that reason. And for three, if Golovkin was to lose against Canelo, I think, if it's another close fight, would Canelo really want to fight Golovkin again if he manages to scrape a win over him this time? He might be out in the cold for a little bit, and then Golovkin would have to target Billy Joe. Maybe get himself into a mandatory position and face Billy Joe. So, yeah, I think Golovkin would be more willing to fight Billy Joe, win or lose, than Canelo would. Now, Canelo has taken on movers before. We saw him take on Austin Trout. We saw him take on Erislandy Lara, who, ran all over the place. To me, Lara really ran against Canelo. That wasn't boxing and moving. That was just running. So he has taken on guys like that before. But that was at an earlier stage of his career. That was at a stage of his career where he was rebuilding after the Mayweather loss. At this stage of Canelo's career, his market value has never been higher. I struggle to think that he would take on a Billy Joe Saunders without a very, very good reason. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but at this stage he's going to fight Golovkin first, it seems. After he fights Golovkin, if he wins, would he risk it all against Billy Joe? Maybe he would. It's possible. If he loses against Golovkin in the rematch, I think there's less of a chance that he would fight Billy Joe. I think he would, in that situation, target fighters who are in the upper echelons of the middleweight division, but have a style which is easier for Canelo to deal with. Not a guy who's going to give him a lot of movement and, what have you. Someone who's going to stand and fight a bit more. That's who I think Canelo would rather face if he loses against Golovkin when he's trying to get himself back up to the upper levels of title contention. If he wins again, maybe he'll take on a Billy Joe to try and unify, possibly. And then you have to look at Canelo's record when it comes to officiating. Canelo seems to get favorable treatment by judges when it comes to his fights. So maybe he's not too worried about Billy Joe moving and whatever. If he's still champion, if he's still a cash cow, and he's just coming off a Golovkin win, and he's looking at Billy Joe, and they're going to have to fight in wherever, in Texas or Vegas or wherever the case may be, maybe he's not that worried because he knows those judges are always going to favor him, even against the guy who moves a lot like Billy Joe. Now, Golovkin is not a great pressure fighter, but he's, you know, people might be surprised by this or surprised to hear me say this, he's a better pressure fighter than David Lemieux. He doesn't throw as many punches typically as Lemieux when he's coming forward. He's not quite as relentless as Lemieux when he's coming forward, but he picks his punches so much better. His balance is better. He sets his shots up better. Just look at when Canelo fought Amir Khan. I know Khan is not as big or strong or awkward or slick as a Billy Joe, but he certainly can move as fast as Billy Joe on his feet. And Canelo, even though he lost the first few rounds against Khan, he was hitting Khan to the body and he was setting up that big right hand that he eventually hit him with. See, this is the kind of technical things that Canelo can do, which David Lemieux don't really do. David Lemieux tends to just wing it when he's in there. It's very instinctive the way that he fights, whereas Canelo is a lot more calculating when he's walking you down and attacking you. Think back to the Austin Trout fight, the same right hand that he caught Khan with. And remember, Trout is a southpaw like Billy Joe. He caught Austin Trout with that right hand, made him do a silly dance before he hit the canvas. Okay, very, very calculated. Erislandy Lara moved all night against Canelo Alvarez. I personally didn't think Lara did enough to win the fight. I felt like he was way too negative. Other people disagree. They think Lara won. But even then, Lara, if anything, moves even better than Billy Joe. Even faster. He's a naturally smaller guy than Billy Joe. Canelo, in my view, was able to at least be very competitive in that fight. I don't think he lost it. So, would Billy Joe be able to keep out of the way of Canelo as well as Erislandy Lara did? I personally don't think so. Even though Billy Joe is very skilled, he's a bigger target than Lara. I don't think he's quite as difficult to hit as Lara is, even though he was very good at keeping out of the way of Lemieux's shots. Again, Canelo's a lot more accurate. So, yeah, those are my views anyway, people. Drop your views in the comment section below. Do you think that Billy Joe has scared away Canelo and Golovkin? Again, just to clarify, I don't think he's scared either of them away. Or both of them are going to assess their current situations before taking on a Billy Joe, win or lose in their rematch? Yes, they are. They're going to assess. They're going to think, and their teams are going to assess. Their teams are going to think, okay, is it worth the risk of taking on a Billy Joe at this point? And as I say, in terms of Golovkin, I believe that he will take on Billy Joe, or he'll be quite willing to take on Billy Joe, win or lose. In fact, he might be more willing to take on Billy Joe if he lost against Canelo than he would if he won. But even if he won, I think he'd probably want that fight. So yeah, let me know how you feel in the comment section below. And I guess there's a few other things to talk about with regards to Billy Joe. Maybe I'll do separate videos. People want to know about, has my view on Billy Joe versus Eubank Jr. changed? And the answer is no, not really. I'm not sure exactly what people think my view is on Billy Joe versus Eubank Jr. because I haven't really talked about it much. But people seem, you know, the Billy Joe fans seem to believe that all of a sudden I think Eubank would wipe out Billy Joe. I don't. I don't know why people have invented this Hatman opinion in their heads. I don't know where they've got this from or how they've created this, but this is what people seem to be thinking. I think it's a very competitive fight, Billy Joe versus Chris Eubank Jr., the rematch. I think both guys have improved. Billy Joe has improved more in terms of fitness, and Eubank Jr.'s improved more in terms of confidence. I think his confidence is on another level now compared to when he fought Billy Joe. I think he lets his hands go more now. And technically, I think Eubank Jr. has improved a bit. So I'll do a separate video about that Let me know your thoughts and feelings on Billy Joe versus Canelo or Triple G. Has he scared them away? Can he beat either of them? Let me know in the comment section below, people. It's Hatman, I'm out.